Stephen Burks, and my studio is called Stephen Burks Man-Made. We're based here in Brooklyn, and I've been invited to design the lounge here at 154 as a special project this year. The lounge incorporates two projects, the Dedan Anda Outdoor Collection, which we've just launched at the Milan Furniture Fair this year. You can see here, woven in extruded polyethylene in the Philippines, good for all weather conditions, or outdoor, and the material compositions I've made exclusively for the lounge here. And they are, for me, about kind of assemblage or ready-made of things that I've designed, things that I've acquired or found, and things that I like. I kind of shift the perception of the industrial object, in a sense, into a space where it's kind of more conducive to the art context. 154 has been great. Quite a special location, and something about being in this old warehouse feels very warm and I don't know, almost domestic, which for the lounge is perfect. Never really made a distinction between art collecting and design collecting, and I think most interesting collectors are ones who surround themselves with all kinds of beautiful things, from the decorative arts to furniture to lighting to painting, sculpture. So something about the environment here, I think, makes everyone feel more at home. And you know, there's that kind of African family spirit. I'm Stephen Burks of Stephen Burks Man-Made. I live and work in Brooklyn. I'm an industrial designer, and I'm speaking to you today from the High Museum of Art and the exhibition Stephen Burks Shelter in Place about Broom Thing. Broom Thing Ambient Object was inspired by my time collaborating with the students at Berea College Student Craft. I was contacted by Aaron Beal, Director of Student Craft, to literally design only 4 products for the college. I wasn't content with considering the students just as student labor, so we began working with Berea at a very high strategic level, rethinking the whole program, the position of the students as designers rather than strictly labor, and this is how Crafting Diversity was born. Working in the broom craft workshop, I noticed the broom wall covered by all of these beautiful brooms which have traditions dating back over 100 years. We tried to imagine Broom Thing becoming kind of extreme example of what could be possible using these traditional processes and this very basic material of broom corn. At the center of Broom Thing is the Broom Thing core. The core is a 26-sided polygon that literally supports the 26 broom handles that plug into it to make the overall sphere. In a sense, you don't see the 26 individual brooms made traditionally that make up the Broom Thing. First, you see the object. First, you feel the energy of it. First, it draws you in. I'm so excited to have Broom Thing in the High's collection because for me, it's very representative of our practice and very representative of our way of working. And in many ways, it's a very simple object. It's engaging, it's attractive, and it has the kind of legibility that all of my favorite objects have. That once you get close enough and you understand what's going on, you get it. You may not understand why. Designed the Islands cabinet, which is my first collaboration with Living Divani, and it's a collection of cabinets available now in 2 sizes. A very soft kind of oval form that can be positioned against the wall or in the setting, living room, dining room, or bedroom. It can be used in various ways, either in residential or a contract setting. And in fact, there'll be other configurations of the Islands cabinet as we continue. And we're hoping to actually develop various heights as well. We wanted to do a product really in some way can transform. There's a number of louvers that go around the cabinet and allow the customer to kind of style it as they like. Placing books inside or the television on top is finished in a matte lacquer. The top surface has a thin laminate of, here in this case, walnut, but various finishes could be applied. They're custom or part of the Living Divani collection. Stephen Burks Man-Made is really about bringing the hand to industry. And so we looked at ways to develop a piece of furniture that's very soft and different settings at Living Divani with various pieces of furniture, but also could somehow engage the craft production. The inlaid wood on the top surface, small louvers that can be repositioned are all part of the concept. My collaboration with Living Divani started early last year. I've known Carola for many, many years, and we've been good friends for a while. And we've been looking for the right product to kind of collaborate on. Of course, Living Divani is known for their seating products, the highest quality in Italian design. But we were looking for a product category that didn't already exist. A place where I could kind of express culture of my work in design. Hi, I'm Steven Burks, Steven Burks Man-Made. Our work is really about bringing the hand to industry. We like to develop products that have a kind of legibility, that talk about the material, talk about the detailing, talk about how they're made as a means of engaging the imagination of the customer. As I'm thinking about working with Living Divani for the first time, we had a look at the collection, and Carola and I, who I've known for years, having a good time all the time. And we've always wanted to make something together, and I've always appreciated the brand. I love the title of the brand, Living Divani. There's something about the idea of living and having that be part of the name of the brand that speaks to what the product is about. So we took a look at the collection. We understood that a very serious piece of furniture may have been missing, which we've tried to kind of create with the Islands collection. So Islands is a freestanding piece of furniture that's approachable from all sides and operates as a cabinet, as a bookshelf, as a credenza. There's many different functions, and part of the story here are the louvers that not only define surface, but can be repositioned, can be opened, can be closed, can be customized by the owner of the product. This is really what the collection's about. And we're looking at various material finishes so that it becomes compatible with the sofas, with the chairs, with the tables, etc. And it can live in two sizes, both in the bedroom or in the living room or in the dining room. No, I'd love to develop a seating collection, Living Divani, and approach the expertise of the company if we can. And in a unique way, we could develop a lounge chair, a sofa, or that has a bit of qualities that I like to bring to a product and also expresses the consciousness of the brand. That would be great.
We are presenting this week at the Salone in Milan an experimental project between Stephen Burks Boulogne and BD Barcelona Design as part of the Grasso furniture collection by Stephen.
So Grasso is this leather seating collection for BD that consists of a lounge chair, a footrest, and a bar stool. We're experimenting with the Boulogne material for different parts of the upholstery. With Boulogne, the concept kind of evolved from a desire that we had to have some physical treatment of the skin of the chair. I wanted to get at something that was very organic and something that related to the surface of the skin. The lounge chair is the kind of primary piece of the collection. With Boulogne, we've designed a textile collection. One is with the space-dyed yarn wool, and there are these floats that I'll be cutting by hand, and it creates this very special, almost like hair. The footstool is something that looks like a little creature that you can put your feet up on. And it's also got this moment where the cushion actually looks like it's been forced through the frame and it's kind of pushing out on both sides. And then the bar stool is a continuation of that. It has an even bigger poof of fat coming out of the top and out of the bottom. With Boulogne, there's just so much potential in the material. I love its kind of semi-structural quality.
We always wanted to challenge ourselves and to push the boundaries in production, in materials and in design. BD Barcelona and Stephen Burks fit so well into this collaboration because they are bold and very forward-thinking. The last couple of years we have been using our woven material for other applications than flooring. So the collaboration fits very well into our future visions.
It's rare to work with an industrial company that controls and owns the entire supply chain. And because they're kind of experimental nature, you know, we got to really play with it and see where we could go. For us, the closer we get as designers, the closer our hands get to the act of making, the more potential there is for innovation.
We love working with Boulogne. They are one of the most innovative companies right now in Europe. They are coming from a flooring product, but I think they have converted the company from a product-oriented company into a design-oriented company.
We think it's not only important to collaborate with others, it's necessary. If you share ideas and knowledge, you get ideas and knowledge.
Right now, this project is in the experimental phase, and we would love to put all these pieces into production very soon.
I mean, I've always believed everyone was capable of the future.
Whole thing, right? And I'm not talking about like make us download this file faster or order the food faster, but an actual thing.
Right.
So the answer is not I will make a difference, but it's the answer is I have to try. And by the way, making a difference might just mean I'm paying you to make your life better, because that is, in that person's life, hugely significant. So the goal is not to like fix trafficking of women, because that's, or fix climate change. It is to use your art in a way that is collaborative and impactful to that individual person, and with the hope that that interaction and collaboration then goes on to have a wide impact.
Yeah.
We hope, we don't know. But what I can control is using my gift and my work as at least a direct funnel to an individual person in a monetary way, because that ends up being the way that matters the most to them in that moment.
I'm wondering how it's impacted your business, though.
So this specific project
has it had a direct result?
Well, so Black Panther was fantastic, and I think that's a business impact.
Yeah.
This has been more. First of all, it's new, so it's hard to tell.
There's Black Panther 2 coming.
We know.
So.
I haven't gotten a call yet. So.
Okay.
know somebody, please. I don't. This is too new to know if there's a tangible impact. And one has to imagine if the project is well received, then the project itself will grow, because we hope that it's fed and continues to work. And so, to that end, we hope that it positively impacts the business, because it just means it positively impacts the project. Which, again, if you're thinking as I tend to do of the mission, which is far-flung and big. Anything that helps grow the mission is, of course, fantastic. By the way, Black Panther 2 is fantastic because that's money for me to make a project that helps refugees, is how I look at the world. So it's not, when people think about the...
But what could that look like, just conceptually?
Yeah.
Right, how would you utilize Black Panther 2 to help refugees?
To get money to self-fund another project, as I did with this one. So it's...
You mean...
Financially. Because
Okay.
then I'm not knocking on doors and asking for people to fund a thing, which I will do and I'm happy to do. But then you have more
Because
control.
everything is so tied to social causes today. I mean, do you think a film like Black Panther could be directly connected?
Directly?
Have you had any of these conversations with Hannah or Ryan Coogler? Do you have?
I don't know them well enough, but I think the way that generally these things work is people use those huge platforms to then, because it's Disney,
Right.
it's a
Marvel.
corporation.
Yeah.
So the hope is that you use that as a pivot towards something that you can directly control. I'm sure Disney is doing lots of lovely things. I don't know, but it's really just the more people are aware of the work, the more you can steer that hopefully towards people being aware of the mission as a whole. So I actually don't see much of a separation or the need for a separation. To me, the commerce is really just more of a resource towards the work. And I think we fall into a trap oftentimes of that keeps us limited in what we can accomplish, because we're so concerned with, rightfully concerned, the ethics as we should be, and of being perceived as being pure, that we then achieve less. Because we're allowing ourselves to be so like, I gotta make sure I follow the rules because my comments are gonna be crazy.
I guess before we open it up to questions, I'd love to just speak specifically about the kind of creative intention.
Yes.
And I'm wondering if, a film like Black Panther actually has gone on to influence your work in the studio in terms of making the fashion. I would imagine, I think it's the reverse, to be honest. They come to us, right,
and we appear there.
So yeah, that's funny because your work, it's more Afro-historical, and Black Panther's been, a vehicle for this kind of new movement towards kind of Afrofuturism, right? A new perception of Afrofuturism.
Yeah.
So do you feel that your work is now perceived as Afrofuturist, or, does that matter to you? Are you trying? How do you frame it?
Yeah, I think, to be honest,
Is that influencing you creatively?
I'm certainly aware of it. I feel like I individually have difficulty with labels, because then I feel like ultimately it's helpful for human beings to categorize, because then they would know how to look for and find a thing and identify it, and which wall they hang you on as far as the art. For me, that ends up being limiting, though, and I think it's no different than when you're a musician. Well, you make jazz, you make hip hop, therefore, then what are you doing over here with that sound?
I think there's value in establishing relationships, right? So because of the huge machine that Black Panther is, Not to say that you have to categorize your work in that sense, but that there could be more kind of creative exchange if you considered there was some dialogue there. Yeah. I don't know. I'm just wondering if there's some dialogue there.
Yeah, I mean, I think the hope is that the work speaks. I hadn't heard nobody's phrase it that way. It's almost like Afro-retro-historical. That's interesting because I think that's the more that it's kept open, the more it can speak to more people. So if you look at it and you look forward, that's great. If you look at it and look back, that's great. And hopefully you look at it and it speaks to the contemporary in some way.
Hi, hello. Here we are in New York to meet with designer Steven Burks in Chinatown. So recently you got the award from the Cooper Hewitt National Design Museum. How does it feel to get honored with that?
I mean, the Cooper Hewitt National Design Award is the highest honor our nation gives to design, so very inspiring. And for me to win it as opposed to some of the big manufacturers and consultancies is also really impressive. I mean, I think that it means that not just our country, but really the public at large is beginning to recognize the importance of this kind of work, this kind of workshop-based practice. To be able to say, hey, there's Steven, and he's weaving chairs and baskets in different places. and that work is valuable, to all of us. I think that means a lot to me.
So tell me a little bit about the background. How did you get into design in the first place?
Yes, I always knew I wanted to make things. I've always been fascinated by objects in space. In a sense, more interested in the scale of the hand, the scale of the body, the person in the interior rather than the building at large. So I made my way to design through architecture. I mean, I'm really interested in how people use things. They kind of the space between the object and the activity, I used to say. Today, the studio is focused primarily on the intersection between the hand and industry. So the studio is called Steven Burks Man-Made, and our focus is what we call cultural design. So we're trying to kind of push toward constant immersive development process, where we move away from a studio-based practice and more to a kind of workshop-based practice, which really connected to kind of my way of working, going in the field, developing the product with the artisans, going into the factory, developing the product with the makers. So yeah, I think as designers, if we get closer to the act of making, we really have more opportunity for innovation.
Maybe it is so that design changes our behavior other than other things.
Sure.
What's your take on that?
I mean, I think it's important that as designers we don't disconnect design from the rest of culture. Art world, architecture, photography, fashion, all of these things are design, and all of these things play a role in how we as people perceive our environment. What I'm most interested in is how we can really kind of continue to develop a culture of making from these kind of original techniques, which are more artisan-based, into more technical and kind of industrial, technological advances. So really where, craft traditions meet high technology, I think, is the future of design.
You work a lot in different countries with different crafts, as you say, and different techniques. What are you seeking for when you go to all these places?
I guess I'm just looking for new ways to make things, and this is where my inspiration comes from. I have to say that at some point along the way in my career, we made our first handmade object, happened to be the Missoni patchwork vases, and those things really, it was like a light bulb went off. All of a sudden, we could make something by hand in the studio, kind of international recognition for it.
If you look ahead then, you've been working pretty much in different countries like that, so what is your next step now then?
What we're trying to do to kind of evolve the Man-Made project is this cultural design strategy, let's say, where we're partnering with brands, value what we can bring to the table, which is we're intending to do a lot more than just supply a drawing. And so through this immersive development process, we get to know more about what the brand makes and how they make it, and hopefully find some room to kind of develop a new point of view and really create products that have the capacity for a cultural shift.
Highline opened in 2009. For decades before that, it was an overgrown railroad track, sort of left over from an era when elevated trains roared through Manhattan. Today, It's a multi-million-dollar park that is welcoming hundreds of thousands of visitors a day. The whole project's designed by Diller and Scofidio Renfro. From here, you can see just how the High Line is really connecting the dots of the city's best up-and-coming architecture. I mean, we've got in the background here Jean Nouvel's new condo tower. You've got Frank Gehry office building across the street. Next door to that, you've got Shigeru Ban's new condos. Further down, you've got the new Whitney Museum of American Art is moving to the Meatpacking District, I would have thought. And just up the High Line here, we've got Neil Denari's first multi-story building in America. I mean, it's unbelievable. Along with some really beautiful art installations like Ellen Atsui from Jack Shaman Gallery here on the wall. All of these new contemporary projects probably wouldn't have been placed here had it not been for the High Line and this kind of regeneration of the neighborhood. Some of the things I love about the High Line in terms of design is the way that they've seamlessly integrated the design elements with nature and with elements that look like it just kind of happened. Almost as if this very beautiful paved surface with finger-like projections into the lawns just landed here amongst the wild grasses, amongst the trees. It's a great work of landscape architecture. Along 10th Avenue here is some of my other favorite places, like Printed Matter Bookstore, which is a bookstore of art books and art editions, which I cherish. And further down, you have the Hotel Americano by Enrique Norton, and a brand new bar in the basement designed by Tobias Rehberger. And that's where we're going for beer.